A fight doesn't necessarily imply a hand-to-hand battle. Sometimes raising your voice for awareness is how you can change ways of thinking. These young women are a reference in denouncing violence, abuse, and old customs. To commemorate International Women's Day, we chose 8 activist leaders that have made intense efforts in favor of the environment and society. Greta Thunberg, born in Stockholm, Sweden, became known for her protests against climate change. Her message caused millions of young people around the world to stop going to school one day a week. Her voice forced senior officials to think again and to allocate part of the European Union budget to combat climate change. Through rap music, Sunita Alizadeh denounced forced marriages in her country, Afghanistan. Inspired by Eminem, she began to write songs about the war, violence, and the rights of women. Through a teacher, she was introduced to an Iranian film director who, after paying $2,000 to her mother so that she wouldn't be sold, made a documentary about her called Sunita, as well as the video Brides for Sale. Strongheart Group saw the film and brought Alizadeh to the United States to study on a full scholarship. Marley Diaz, a literature lover, is a young lady from the United States who at the age of 10 noticed the absence of female characters of color in school reading. She began the hashtag 1000 Black Girl Books campaign to make a collection of books with black girls as protagonists. The response was overwhelming with more than 9,000 books collected. Forbes magazine included Diaz on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in 2018. She later wrote the book Marley Diaz Gets It Done and So Can You to share her story and teach us that it is possible to get things done. Payal Janjit is a young Indian woman who also refused to follow the tradition of getting married at the age of 10. In an effort to put an end to these traditions, she created Child Parliament, an organization whose goal is to educate more children and at the same time to raise awareness among parents to prevent abuse. After getting children in school, child marriage was completely eradicated in the small community of Rajasthan. Malati and Isabel Wiesen are 2 sisters from Bali who decided to eradicate plastic in their community. Inspired by other figures who made a difference like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, they created their own organization called Bye Bye Plastic Bags. Bali's airport banned plastic bags in 2016, and today the island is plastic-free. Amika George is a teenager from the UK who created the organization Free Periods, through which she fights and denounces poverty with which some women live in their menstrual period in the world. To prevent them from using toilet paper, socks, or pieces of old clothes, George is calling on the British government to provide feminine hygiene products for low-income women. Emma Gonzalez is a survivor of the school shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, USA. Emma created the non-governmental organization Never Again MSD to prevent gun violence. After seeing the struggle, denunciation, and the effort of these 8 young women, it is clear to us that sometimes small acts become big changes. International Women's Day is celebrated annually on March 8th. The event first took place on March 19, 1911, and is intended to draw attention to women's rights and gender equality. With that being said, let's now take a look at some stars who have devoted their time and decided to stand up for women's rights. Actress Emma Watson is probably one of the best-known representatives of feminism. She has been campaigning for women's rights for many years. In an interview with Vanity Fair, she once said, "Feminism is about giving women a choice. It's about freedom. It's about liberation. It's about equality." In 2014, the Harry Potter actress was appointed a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador. Pop star Lady Gaga is also a well-known advocate for women's rights. In 2015, she addressed politicians worldwide in an open letter demanding better conditions for women and girls across the globe. A year later, she was in Harper's Bazaar magazine. In it, she wanted to call on women to be braver and assert themselves. A lady today must be a fighter. It means being a survivor. It means letting yourself be vulnerable and acknowledging your shame or that you're sad or you're angry. It takes great strength to do that. Actress Angelina Jolie also stands up for not only human rights but for women around the world. In an essay for the magazine Elle, she wrote, "If you look across the world, there are far too many women and girls who are not only not seeing progress, their rights are slipping away from them. We need to change laws that treat women as second-class citizens." The 45-year-old advocates for more progress for women. She thinks the world needs more women to fight openly and passionately for the cause. "Had I lived in earlier times, I could have been burnt at the stakes many times over for simply being myself." Duchess Meghan also stands up for women's rights. The wife of Prince Harry became an advocate for the cause at 11 years old. The Duchess is a women's advocate for the UN and gave a speech in 2015 as a part of the UN Conference on Women. When speaking about girls and women empowerment, you'll often hear people say, "Well, you're helping women finding their voices," and I fundamentally disagree with that. Women don't need to find a voice, they have a voice. She also explains that women need to feel confident enough and empowered to actually use their voice. The time is now to stand up for what's right.